VC, Dale 433, back to do the next episode in my Lost in the Collection series. This is number 9, the theme of this series is albums that are 40 minutes in length. So as part of this series, if you haven't watched before, I've got 500 or 600 albums languishing in my collection that I know I haven't listened to for at least 5 years. So I am deliberately delving back into them, giving them another listen consciously, and trying to revisit them and see what I think about them. And then I'm coming on here and giving my thoughts. So 5 albums, 40 minutes long. Don't worry, I'm not going to go off on my hypothesis about optimum album length. That is for another video. So let's get into the records. So first up is this album, The City. So this is from 68, I think it's from 68, yep. Originally put out on Ode Records, Lou Adler's label. So what is this? So this is predominantly a Carole King led sort of band. Carole King split from her husband Gerry Goffin in 65, I think. Had a sort of a break from music for a few years. Obviously had children to look after, but by this time she was wanting to get back into it. Moved to the West Coast, and the band was put together. The band is Daniel Cooch Korchmeyer on guitar and vocals as well, who I think was from the Fugs. Charles Larkey on bass, who I think she went on to marry after, and then guest drummer, it says Jimmy Gordon, who was also in Derek and the Dominoes. Band was formed, and this is their one and only album. Mostly, in fact, all bar one of the songs are Carole King written or co-written songs, a lot of them with Gerry Goffin songs, but there are also other writers that she's written with. There is one other track of Mose Allison's song My Sweet Home they do, which actually I think is probably for me is the weakest song on the album, and probably don't know why they'd put it on. I'm sure they could have found another Carole King song that she could have put on here, so there must have been a reason. Perhaps they liked it or something like that, and they wanted to cover it. So there's one song on here, Man Without a Dream, that Daniel Korchmeyer does lead vocals on. Carole King does backing vocals, although they're quite prominent backing vocals, so it's almost like a duet. But other than that, it's pretty much Carole King doing lead vocals. So it is almost like a Carole King solo album. And it is quite a strong album. So if you haven't heard it and you like Carole King solo material, definitely worth a listen. It's not as strong as Tapestry by any reason. The individual songs are not as strong as the songs on Tapestry. The opening track, Snow Queen, is a really good song, probably the best song on the album. But it's a really, really nice listen. This is a Light in the Attic reissue. So they do solid covers and an insert. So that was that. Next up, from 2013, is Prefab Sprouts album Crimson Red. So this, it's a Prefab Sprout album, but essentially it's a Paddy McAloon solo album from 2013. So Paddy McAloon had a tough time of it. Hadn't put an album out for a while, had health issues, eyesight, and tinnitus, and a lot of health issues going on. So he got back to music. Got really nice liner notes thanking. So he does even say that although he sort of gives thanks to the sort of members of Prefab Sprout, past and present. And acknowledges that this is a solo album, but kind of thanks them for their support and a lot of other people as well. So yeah, some nice liner notes there. And yeah, really enjoyed revisiting this. So boy, when it came out, and thought, yeah, it's an okay Prefab Sprout album, but not as good as Prefab Sprout's heyday. But going back to this as a Paddy McAloon album, really enjoyed it. It's got mainly it's Paddy McAloon in his kind of, I don't know, hushed, ethereal, more whispery type vocals than belting them out. There are a couple of so the Best Jewel Thief in the World that opens side 1 and Billy that opens side 2 are a bit more kind of mid-tempo, a bit more up-tempo, and you know, he stretches his voice and it sounds really strong, but mostly they're very wordy, or you know, extremely wordy songs, and you know, I find that actually really works. You know, I enjoy the flow of the words with the music, which works. You know, they're often kind of literary based. They feel like very interesting. But yeah, really enjoyable album, and yeah, really enjoyed revisiting that. Next up is The Coral, Curse of Love. So what is this? This came out in 2014, but was from sessions that were recorded in, or a session recorded in 2006 between what was it, Beautiful Invasion and Roots and Echoes, that they released in 2005, 2007. They got in the studio, recorded these songs, but for some reason shelved them, and brought them out in 2014. Yeah, and this is a really nice album again. So I've got all of the Corals 10 albums in some form, and I've pre-ordered their new album from the band's site as well. So really obviously like the band. That they're kind of they're an indie rock band, but very much in the psychedelia kind of garage psych revivalist type thing, not quite jangle pop, but and their styles do kind of ebb and flow between the sort of harder sort of garage style songs and the more softer ethereal kind of almost folky psych. This is more in the latter, much more stripped back or laid back in its style, very little kind of upbeat pop psych type stuff, but yeah, like the Coral, they've been a kind of sort of family favourite. Their debut album I bought as a CD, and certainly was a favourite in the car with my wife and the kids when they were younger. So yeah, Curse of Love. I mean, this was not such a revelation because I've got it digitally and I've sort of listened to the Coral fairly frequently, so it's not like I hadn't heard any of this in the last 5 years. Okay, a bit of jazz. So this is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, often called Moaning, the opening track Moaning. But yeah, this is a Blue Note, Japanese Blue Note issue. Sounds fantastic. This is a really great jazz album. You know, probably a must-have sort of building block of a jazz collection, I think. Really strong. Opening track particularly is fantastic. All of it's good. A bit of trepidation, obviously. Well, not obviously. Art Blakey is on drums, so Lee Morgan on trumpet, Benny Golson on tenor sax, Bobby Timmons on piano, Johnny Merritt on bass, but Art Blakey on drums. He's the leader, so there also for me there's always a bit of trepidation that it's going to be an overly drum heavy album. You know, I'm not someone, you know, I'm of the camp that when is a good time for a drum solo? Never is a good time for a drum solo. So yeah, and there is one song, the opening track on side 2, the Drum Thunder Miniature Suite, which, you know, oh dear, what's going to go on there? And it is, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's on the big kettle drums with the mallets banging away doing the thunder. But it's his album. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It works, and the rest of the album is sublime. So overall, it's a fantastic listen, and I can deal with it. So yeah, really, really, really good jazz album. I'll just sort of so the story about this. If so we're on 10 minutes already. Okay, I'm not trying to crack these in 10 minutes, but I have to speed up. Yeah, so bought this with I was at a record fair about 8 years ago, and the guy had a whole box of Japanese Blue Notes, and he said, oh yeah, I just bought them, they're £9 each, or I'll do you a deal if you buy a few. So I ended up buying 4 for 30, I think. So I was just dipping my toe into jazz, so I just did them kind of by recognizing the name of the artist or the cover. So I think I got a Grant Green album, a Hank Mobley, a Jimmy Smith, and this. Now kind of, if I knew then what I know now, I would have probably bought all of them, if not most of them. But that kind of, done a deal, kind of, yeah. But live and learn. So that's that. Finally, a bit of a guilty pleasure. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, a bit of Philly soul. So yeah, not my thing really, but I do have a soft spot. So I've got 3 or 4 Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes albums, and just seem to enjoy that sound, that harmony vocal sound, quite mushy, slushy songs. In this album, sort of Teddy Pendergrass also kind of comes forward as a singer. Yeah, so it's got The Love I Lost, It All Depends on You, Concentrate on Me, Satisfaction Guaranteed. Yeah, a lot of ballads and a few up-tempo numbers, but yeah, for some reason I have a soft spot for this. I don't believe in guilty pleasures, so there is no such thing as a guilty pleasure, but this is probably, for me, maybe approaching it. But yeah, really enjoy going back to this and giving it a listen. Nice listen. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, five records. I think for me, definitely the kind of standout kind of bit of a revelation going back to it was the Prefab Sprout or Paddy McAloon album, Crimson Red. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that. That had the most impact. Right, cheers VC. Thanks, bye.